Thank you, everybody, for joining us today and spending your Thursday afternoon. My name is Sam Charette. I'm the event coordinator of Spark offices here in Manchester, New Hampshire. We offer an innovative co-working space designed to bring together people, ideas, and workflow in a really unique industrial space. And we also happen to be the proud sponsor of Snacks with an Expert. Today, we will be hearing from expert David Visco. He will be presenting on profit acceleration strategies for small businesses. David is the owner and profit acceleration strategist for Your Business Made Easy. He specializes in sales, marketing, finance, and operations for small service-based businesses. And today he's going to teach us simple, fast, and effective profit acceleration strategies to help your business. And from the looks of it and what he was showing me, I'm super excited. I think he has a lot to teach us and a really neat program that is going to blow everyone's socks off this afternoon. At the end of his presentation, we will be having a Q&A session, and then he will be announcing the winner of the complimentary Profit Acceleration Assessment. So without further ado, I bring you expert David Visco.
Hey, cool. Thank you very much, Sam. Thanks for, oh, wow, I got an ovation. How sweet is that? All right, thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming, and thank you for Spark Offices for having me. So I've written a few books. My latest book is 45-Minute Hidden Gems. I just got them in the mail today. Wow. Literally today. So I've got a few here to give away if you guys are nice to me. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've had a whole bunch of businesses and whatnot, many of those with my wife, Barbara, and built a few and sold one just a few years ago. And I've got 35 years of experience in logistics and manufacturing operations excellence. And something I'm pretty proud of is my MBA. You know, not everybody's all psyched about having the paper up on the wall and whatnot, but Babson College for me was just absolutely fantastic. And they're known to have just the best system in the world for teaching entrepreneurship. And it was just fantastic. So just so you know, I do have some experience at this stuff, and I just love teaching it and sharing. So what I'm planning on doing is giving you a different perspective today, kind of giving you an idea of how to move forward differently, focus a little differently so that you can grow your business up and away and get it away from all your competition and whatnot, which these days there is a ton of, right? It's just hyper competitive. You got virtual just kicking everybody's butt, and everybody's trying to get seen by the clients and the customers and whatnot. So I'm going to give you some ideas on how to get through that, and so that you're not spending a ton of money. So a lot of my strategies here don't cost a penny. It's just a matter of changing your focus on your profits instead of your revenue. So to that end, the folks in my networking group have heard me say many times that revenue feeds the ego, right? Profits feed your family. So the idea here is that these days, a lot of people are still touting, you got to grow your business. I want to get to $1 million or more. How quick can I get to 7 figures or more? The problem is, as we all know, there's plenty of companies out there that have been billions of dollars in revenues and have absolutely tanked because they've had no profit whatsoever. I don't really care about the big companies like that. I care about the companies and the business owners that are 6 figures that would like to get to 7, like work with the small business owner and whatnot. What I find is a lot of business owners are, they don't realize how incredibly important it is to focus on profits. And I'll explain why that is and how to get there. With profits, you can reduce the overwhelm, right? So I know a number of you in this room, and we're all working crazy hours, and we've got that entrepreneur hat on, and we think that we got to work ourselves to death and whatnot. And a lot of those reasons are because you don't have enough profits to pay for the extra help that you need and to be able to take time off without having to worry about it, right? And if you have the profits you need, you can also outspend your competition. So Dan Kennedy, who's one of my marketing gurus who I've been following for decades, I get just about every book he's ever written. He talks about that business owner that can outspend their competition on acquiring a customer is the one that's going to win the game. So if you don't have those profits to do so, you're not going to be able to do that. So that's why profits are so incredibly important. And if you have profits, we got some more people coming in. Hey, guys.
Got kind of locked out.
It's all good.
Okay.
Come join us.
Take
I'm going to hold up 1 second while we get some folks settle in, and I'll even take a drink of water.
But you found us. Thank you for making that extra effort. It's worth it, trust me.
How you doing, Sue?
I'm doing well. How
Thanks
are
for
you?
coming.
Sure.
That's pretty cool. I'm David.
Hey, David, nice to meet you.
Good to meet you
Robert.
too. Robert. All right. Okay, so we're about 95% done, so thanks for coming.
Where's
He's
the
a,
cash?
he's a comedian too. You forgot to
There
mention.
you go. No, we're all good. We just got going here. So what I was talking about is why profits are so important, because it allows you to do a lot of things that just having revenue alone won't do. It'll also allow you to expand your business. And if you have profits, you'll also not be so worried about trying to experiment and try something new, because you know you get the profits there that'll cover all of that. As opposed to if you're breaking even or not even breaking even, you're worried about every penny you're spending, right? So you're in this mindset of I can't spend to grow, and it's ugly. So impactful pricing strategies. I've got a bunch of strategies here that I'm going to go over with you. You know, a lot of folks actually shop on value, not price. And so many people think, oh, I got to be the cheapest, or everybody shops on price and not value and not this and that. And it's totally not true. I mean, there are times where you're only going to shop on price, right? But very rarely are purchasing decisions made on prices. If you are competing on prices alone, that's your own fault. And, that might be a little harsh, but truth be told, with the clients that I work with, I get them to realize that in no time flat, they change their mindset regarding pricing.
Is a discount strategy ever, like Walmart?
We're going to talk about discounting in just a second, actually. That is one of my favorite topics.
As the cheapest.
Oh, you're the marketing guy, right? Yep. I remember we met last week in BNI. So there's plenty here regarding that for sure. Thank you. And there we go. So discounting, what I say is that's where profits go to die. Now, there are certainly times, right, where you're in the right position, you can afford to discount and whatnot. What I would suggest to you, though, is that if you discount, especially as a small business owner, you're doing that because you're worried about price competition and whatnot. And truth be told, and my wife will attest to this, for our previous business, we had an e-commerce business. I used to talk about put a 10% discount out there, just to get people to buy and whatever. And truth be told, it never worked. It never budged the line at all. And all I was doing was sending profit right down the drain. So as a simple example, is it possible to get rid of this thing?
Yeah. They can't see this thing, but you can. So.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Thank you.
You're
So you guys were in my way. I know you don't know that, but yeah, so this simple little example here regarding discounting, follow me here. So in the first column, you're selling a widget for $100. Your cost of goods sold, which is basically what it costs you to put that product out to the market, is $70. Very simple math here, just to prove a point. So you've got a $30 profit. A lot of folks will say, like I just mentioned to you, let's do a 10% discount, right? So now you're selling it for 90. Your costs haven't changed. Your cost of goods sold is still 70. So now your profit's only $20 instead of 30. That's a 50% difference. And now you have to sell a heck of a lot more widgets to make that same amount of revenue and profit. That's just not a great way to go. Not at all. Does that make sense? Yeah, don't discount. Unless there's times, of course, where it fits, but many times for small business owners, it's just not worth it. Oh no, my little button thing again. I mean, I love that sound, and I'm going to record it later so I can play it in my sleep. But yeah,
read a quote that I thought was brilliant when
Sure.
it comes to price and making a decision based on price. And I think a lot of potential customers don't. They go on value, thank goodness. But this is from an English philosopher named John Ruskin, and it's from 1870. And it says, it is unwise to pay too much, but it's also unwise to pay too little. When you pay too much, all you lose is a little money. But when you pay too little, you stand to lose everything because the thing you bought is incapable of doing what you bought it to do. The common law of business balance prohibits paying a little and getting a lot. So when you deal with the low bidder, it is wise to put a little something aside to take care of the risk you run. And if you do that, you can afford something better.
Ah, there you go.
To begin with. So it's, yeah,
Point taken. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing.
it's a little long-winded, but
Yeah, it's all good.
Because everything is from the 1800s.
Right. Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Fair point.
Exactly. So I've talked to some of my folks about this before, as far as increasing prices, right? So many people are scared to death, like this dude here, of raising their prices. And a new client that I had recently, I said, so when was the last time you raised prices? He's been in business for 5 years. It's like, I've never raised my prices. I'm like, oh, okay, well, you're gonna raise your prices tomorrow, right now. And you'll see later when I go over a P&L why it's so important to play around with your pricing. It has such a huge impact because it goes right to the bottom line, right? Now, you've got to be very careful with how you do that and whatnot. I'm not saying just all of a sudden go raise all your prices 20%. You got to think about it, but it has a huge impact to the bottom line. A lot of people also think, oh my goodness, if I raise my prices, right, I'm going to lose a bunch of customers. Typically, that is not the case if you do it with a little bit of planning, but you really don't have to overthink it in most cases. So here's a little example here as far as raising prices goes. So we got that same widget before where the price is $100. Your cost of goods sold was 70. And so what's your profit again? It's $30, right? If our goal is $1,000 of profit, you need 33.3 widgets to sell. It's very simple math. But if you raise your price just 10% to $110 a piece, your profit goes up to $40. And now you only need 25 units to sell to hit that same profit goal, right? It's very simple math, but just a small 10% increase is not going to affect anything at all as far as your customers go. Might you lose one or two? Sure. Typically, if you lose those kind of people, they're not the customers you want anyway. They're the PETAs, as I like to call them.
might have,
Yeah.
is it okay to like chime in or ask questions?
Yeah, I've got a few minutes
I don't
built
wanna
in.
take all your time. But somebody I worked with a while ago suggested add a zero to your prices. Well,
There you go.
now
Yeah,
you're
I've heard
taking it
that.
to a whole nother level. And I did balk because, you know, I can't
Well,
even
it depends.
have the capacity to do that level of work. So I doubled my prices and I doubled my business.
There you
within
go.
like 6 months.
I was just telling Amanda a story about that, how I did that. She's on the call here with my consulting fees in a previous life.
Yeah.
They went up and nobody balked and I started making a heck of a lot more
There
money.
you go.
Yeah.
I do have a
Imagine
question
that.
from the peanut gallery.
Yeah.
What's a reasonable increase? Should it be based on inflation or is there not a science to it? What's the?
I think it depends. That's a great question. I think it depends on your marketplace. You know, I mean, there's so many variables that go into that. I would say you can certainly cover inflation because you don't want to be losing money just because the price of everything is going up, right? But I think it's a mix. It just really kind of depends. There isn't one flat across the board. Okay, you can raise them 10% and not worry about it.
David, how would you approach clients that where you have to tell them, hey, you know, I'm doing a price increase. We've been together for years, but you know,
That's great.
and it,
Oh, you mean if you already
like,
have a
yeah, is
client?
there a way to approach a current client to tell them, hey, I got to raise my prices when they're pretty comfortable and kind of settled in with what they're paying? And that?
So that's a great question. So that goes back to all along the way, are you continually improving your value to that client? You know, are they sitting there waiting for you to do so they can bail because they're really not happy with you anyway? Assuming you're doing a great job and you're adding value and they're happy with what you're doing and they know that you're worth what you're asking for, there shouldn't be any reason why you can't raise your prices once a year. You know, just flat across the board, every year raise your prices. And there's no reason not to. There really isn't, because people know, first of all, they know it's coming, right? And these days, good God, if you're not raising your prices now, it might sound a little greedy, but you're really missing out
Yeah.
because everything's going up.
It just seems
know.
different with a service business and that close relationship as opposed to, you're providing, products that people have to buy. It's like, hey, the price is going up. That's it.
Yeah.
No choice really. So,
Well, I
yeah,
don't know.
It goes to your point, the value, they won't really have a choice to get rid of you if you're bringing them back.
Exactly. So you make yourself unfireable, if you will,
I like
Hey,
it.
Jonathan, how are you? Thanks for coming.
Didn't mean to sideline you, but those all great questions.
Yeah, very good questions.
Yep.
All right. I was hoping to get the
I
the beep again. So another great thing to worry about, 80-20 rule, right? Everybody's heard this probably 5 million times, but it's so important. And the idea here is that 20% of your activities or your clients or your products or your services are going to result typically in 80% of your revenues. So you want to make sure that you're focusing on the right activities, the right products, etc. I'm going to give you some input on that.
Is this being recorded by chance?
Yes, sir. You guys all seen the jar of life example? Have you folks all seen this?
Explain it. It's
No,
fascinating.
It's such a great way to think about things. So the idea here is, you've got your sand and whatnot on the left, the unimportant distractions and whatnot. So think about this as being the jar of business as opposed to the jar of life. And what typically happens is we take all that junk, the emails, right? The annoying phone calls, I got to go chase a receivable or, what have you. And we do that stuff first. And then we do the other stuff that is necessary, but isn't necessarily having to be done right now, but we do that too. Meanwhile, we know there's all these other things, the rocks, the super important things that we should do to move our business forward. And if you don't do them, then what happens? They don't fit in the jar. In other words, they're not going to get done, right? So the whole idea here, because that's bad, focus on the rocks first, and then the other stuff will find its way in where it needs to. And trust me, I know it's easier said than done, but conceptually, it's a great way to go. And one thing I do is I have 45 minutes carved out every morning to just work on one of my rocks. And you guys have heard this. I do that before I open my email. Now, a lot of folks will say, you can't do that. I got to answer my email. Well, you could jump into your email, see if there's anything screaming at you. That takes some discipline and whatnot, but you got to focus on the rocks. That's the only way to grow. Without doing that, you're going to constantly miss out on growing, your business. So some ideas here are, just a few examples of some of those rocks, what they might be and what you want to be focusing on with regards to profits in particular is revenue generating activity, right? Because you got to be continually driving revenue, of course, so that you could get that extra profit we were talking about. High margin products, profitable clients, as opposed to that little rock in the back, the low margin clients. Those puppies should be out on the side and not getting the focus that the other ones are. One client I'm working with right now, we're tearing through his database and where his jobs have come from and whatnot, and we're seeing that he focused a lot of his attention and time on those jobs that are making him almost no money. And they're one-time orders too. So, you got to tear into that so that you can focus on the right things. Just trying to keep my eye on the clock here. So there are also some new approaches to chasing after profits that I want to share with you. And most of these ideas in the new way are not necessarily something new, other than they're getting more focused these days than they used to. So in the old way, and anybody in marketing, I'm not poo-pooing marketing, right? It has to happen. You've got to do it. And I actually really enjoy marketing too. But the problem with marketing, especially for a small business owner, is most of the time, a lot of us think that's where we need to dump our money first. Spend more money on marketing. The problem is it's extremely time consuming. A lot of time it's on a wing and a prayer. You're hoping it's going to work, as opposed to the profit generating strategies that we're going to talk about in a minute that'll drive profit to your bottom line right away. So you could get immediate impact there, as opposed to a lot of marketing strategies. They're going to take time. and money, and you're gonna have to spend that money to see if it actually worked or not. And then you gotta, course correct and whatnot. And the small business owner doesn't always have those kind of resources available to them. So I'm gonna talk about some other things that you could do to drive profits to your business. One of which is joint ventures, kind of similar to what we do in our networking groups, whereby we help each other grow by introducing one another to other business owners. However, as far as a joint venture goes, it's two or more businesses that decide to form a partnership to share markets or endorse specific products or services to their customer base. I read that direct. That's cool. The idea there is, for a florist, for example, look at all these different businesses that a florist can use and that can help. And those people are going to need a florist, and the florist is going to help their customers too. So you get these businesses that are trying to help the exact same customer base. It's a great way to find new clients. And it doesn't cost you a thing other than some time and focus, right? There's no big expenditure there. I mean, you might have to join a group or whatnot, but it's not significant money like you would be spending in a marketing campaign. Then there's the upsell. You guys know what's like the most popular upsell in the world? You want fries with that? Exactly, right? McDonald's. I kind of like ice cream and whatnot, so I threw that out there where people are always wanting more. They truly are. And like an example here is, it's only going to cost you as far as your cost of product, just a little bit for, a medium cone instead of a small cone. But the clients are going to be eager to get their hands on that for just a little bit more. And usually the profits are significantly more. So if you could get them to even buy like an extra scoop, supersize that ice cream cone, maybe get it in a waffle cone or add, whatever else you want to that. But the idea is there's always opportunity to provide your clients with more. So I would be curious, do any of you have an upsell that you've thrown into your business?
I just started actually. So when I sell a piece of equipment, I'll offer to do some maintenance on some of their older stuff. So as part of it,
there you go.
Include this for a couple of pieces, not all your pieces, depending on how big they are, but I'll do it for a couple of your pieces.
That's cool. I'm going to give you my brand new book.
Ooh.
Hot off the presses today.
Nice.
Good job. That's great. It just came out of a box. Literally.
Super quick question.
Yeah.
Do you have to be careful though to not start upselling things that are not in your lane? Like you don't want to start selling hot dogs and all these
sure.
things.
Yeah, you don't want to just like throw caution to the wind.
Okay.
Yeah, no doubt about that. How about yourself? Have you ever thought of like what you could add on? No,
Yeah.
for a patent attorney?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I have clients where if they don't want to add a whole nother patent, I'll try to talk them into like a scoop and a half. Like, well, how about if we
Scoop and a
add
half. there
some
you
of
go.
the stuff into an existing patent? And if you're 100% right, it's pure profit at that point.
Yeah.
Because even if they won't take on the extra profit, the extra project, I get that little bit extra. Yeah.
And it all adds up. It all adds
I
up.
know, it'll work.
Amanda online said she became an expert at upselling when she worked at Steak and Shake in college. Hot fudge and cheese sauce. Her two favorite upsells.
Good call, Amanda. That's great. All right. So you get the upsell, but then you get the downsell, right? So many of you have probably been in a gym and whatnot, and they try to get you into the gold membership. Well, no, I don't want the gold membership. That's way too expensive. Well, what about at least you take on, 3 months worth of a membership and see how that goes. Well, I'm not too sure yet. So maybe you give them a 1 week free trial and then you try and upsell them to the other one. So downsell has a lot of potential to it as well. At least that way you can continue to market to the person. You can stay, front and center. And eventually, if you are providing good service and they truly need it, you'll bring them into the other offerings that you have. So the downsell helps you eventually get to the upsell and then a long-term client if it's done right and if the demand is truly there. Bundling. So bundling is another great way to add more value without having to spend a penny. So one example here is, of course, I don't know where you could get a house for $400K these days, but anyhow, so let's say $400,000 is the going price for a house in whatever area you're in. But and you're a builder, Okay, so let's say that builder manages to buy an entire entertainment center in a security system at wholesale. So they arrange that with some vendor in the area. Maybe they'll pay like $6,000 for it, but it has a retail cost of $30,000. So you could sit there as that builder and say, hey, I will sell you a house, you'll get another 10K out of it. Let's say I'm selling the houses for $410,000, but you're getting a $30,000 security and surround sound system and whatnot. The great thing there is you're adding more value. The client is more than likely willing to pay a little bit more for that than the rest of the market, but you're making a boatload of additional money. Plus you're selling more, right? So the more volume, the more profit you're going to get. And if you do that right, you can really help yourself stick out from the competition. So bundling services, anybody do anything like that in what they provide? Anyone on there? It's a lot of opportunity there because you can just add to it, spike your prices a little
So
bit.
I make websites. I'm a marketing company, not a competitor, but so like I have, I make more money if I sell a website, or
Yep.
I can charge a la carte. But if I sell a website, I can usually bang it out quicker than the hourly rate. But then you also have to wait for like people to give you pictures and stuff like that.
Sure.
So I guess that's kind of bundling all the services instead of like a la carte, like I'll make you a contact form.
There you go. Good deal.
And sometimes that logging to my website service, like I'll just throw it in.
Yep.
Because, as long as I get a content resource, which they're very abundant these days,
Right.
It doesn't take me much.
No doubt.
Yeah, they'll pay for that,
Seriously.
that SEO
Work us out of a
value
job.
as well.
Good deal.
Agreed.
So what is it you do?
Chuck Sink, I'm a marketing company as well. And,
A lot of marketing companies. Good stuff.
Doing marketing efficiency. I do marketing too.
Marketing.
Chuck Sink Link is my.
But I think there's like different, like, so with like agencies, like, big firms, you guys, I'm not exactly sure what Spark does exactly, but I came for snacks.
Yeah.
But, no, I'm just joking. But like, like big tier marketing
Yeah.
agencies, they
Oh, yeah.
outsource and they, 360 Creative, I know them. I went to them with product, they're like, unless it's 100,000, we're not touching it.
Right.
You're just, so there's that little fee. And
Yep.
and do a small business.
Well, that's what I deal with too. Small
Yeah.
business owners that are at, maybe 6 figures. They want to get to 7. I don't like working with the big companies. Been there, done that, been that employee and whatnot, So, let's see. Yeah, time wise, I got to move this along. So there's
But we
also.
can all stay and
yeah,
chat and mastermind afterwards. So
Yeah.
don't feel like we're cutting that part off.
Good deal.
So
That's cool too.
businesses.
Yeah.
Good.
Absolutely. So you can also add on additional services. So for example, a marketing firm, it's kind of funny that I use that example. There's all sorts of things that you could do differently. So maybe weekly you can have webinars. You could do a workshop where you're going to teach people how to apply different marketing strategies. You could have an Ask the Expert call. So once a week, people could call in for a half an hour and ask questions. Or maybe monthly, you do a mastermind like we just talked about, or a lunch and learn. Or anytime you could actually add in an e-learning system. So like I have an e-learning system, it's basically an MBA through my system where you learn about different parts of business every single week. And it just comes to you in your mailbox. So maybe that's something you could do. Or potentially for a marketing firm, maybe you could give your clients, if they spend a certain amount with you or whatnot, maybe they get a free ClickFunnels account. Right, I think that's $95 or somewhere around there.
Free what? I'm sorry.
ClickFunnels, it's a software to do like squeeze pages and whatnot on the internet.
Lead generation.
I'll show you.
Okay,
It's cool stuff.
okay, never heard of it.
Oh, that's really great stuff for you, Jonathan, actually. Yeah, okay. So the idea here is there's additional services and products that you can add on to just continue to drive more business to you. And none of that really, it might cost some money to put it together, but once it's together, it's not
Are
going
you
to cost
talking about
anything.
charging for these services or?
No, it's
just
more
adding
for
value?
adding more value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the P&L, profit and loss statement, crazy important. And it's amazing how many business owners I talk to that don't look at the P&L on a regular basis or have never really looked at it. And just at the end of the year, they give their finances to their CPA and say, tell me what I owe or what I'm getting back, right? As a business owner, there's so much hidden in your P&L that there's profits in there that you don't even know about that you could go chasing after. And we're going to talk about that. So this is a very dumbified, if you will, P&L, very simple, straightforward. The three numbers that are most critical are your revenue, your cost of goods sold, and your overhead. Those are the three. They're the only three that you can affect, because those three affect the other four parts of your profit and loss statement, right? You folks, are you generally familiar with the profit and loss statement? Okay. So I am going to show you something which is crazy simple. So just the impact of 5%. All right, so we have a little example here. Let's say your revenue is 300,000 and you're gonna just increase your prices 5%. So that gets you to 315,000, right? Simple math.
Mhm.
Let's say you go about and you chase down your costs of your goods and you start getting those lower too. Just by 5%, you lower your cost of goods sold by 5%. That has a huge impact as well. So now you have a new gross profit from, instead of 120, you've got $144,000 in gross profit just by raising your prices 5%, right? Which we already talked about. It's not going to destroy your business, and that's only 5%, or reducing your cost of goods sold by 5%. So now you have your gross profit percentage has gone up from 40% to 46%. And then you can also go take a fine-tooth comb, a pencil is what I meant. Sharpen your pencil. I don't know where the hell that came from. Sharpen your pencil and go at it for all your expenses. Yeah, there you go, That's beautiful. So sharpen your pencil and just start tearing through, like, where's your money going every month? It's incredible, because I've done this myself, but if you put everything on a credit card for your business every month, you should be able to just look at that every month and look at those charges. And you'd be amazed at what's on there that you're not even aware of, or services or subscriptions that you had that you just completely forgot about. And it may not seem like much, but added up, I've already found a whole lot of hidden money for one of my clients where he just wasn't even paying attention to it. Not even looking at his numbers. In fact, we just completely updated all of his chart of accounts, all of his data. Now we're getting good, accurate data to see if he's actually making some money. So those very small increases can have a huge impact. I mean, look at this. So just by the little 5% changes there, the net profit went up 27 grand and it didn't cost you a dime to do any of those three. So you don't have to spend money to make more profits. That's, in case you didn't get it. Excuse me, it's my entire point with all of this.
Yeah, it's all in the margins. It looks like.
It is.
So much impact is
Yeah.
right there.
It really is. There's so much hidden in that P&L. So again, not poo-pooing on marketing, but I'm just saying, right? With marketing, a lot of it's winging a prayer where you're just kind of hoping it's all going to work out. You would actually need to make an additional $67,500 with the 40% cost of goods sold to make that same $27,000 in profit. Right? Whereas with the previous model I was showing, you weren't even needing to increase much more than what was that 5% and just kind of cut it up.
You kind of like talking about like marketing, like Facebook ads, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm on the
Any
same
of
way, because like you're just putting that into like a Wall Street company, and
Yep.
the returns on Facebook. I mean, I've gotten some
Facebook's
returns
tough.
for people, like for an employer, but it's just you can. I believe what you're saying. You can get a lot more by looking through the existing business.
Yep, absolutely. No doubt. Yeah, and Facebook ads, it's usually money not well spent unless you're a much larger company. It's really hard in a small business like my client base to make any money off of that.
There's new business on the other end of a phone call, and just the reluctance to pick up that.
Pick up the phone. Yep, absolutely.
Marketing required.
So what I want to show you now is the idea of exponential growth, which is whereby you make small improvements in a number of areas in your business, and they will compound on themselves, those improvements, to drive more profit into your business. And the way I'm going to show this to you is with what I call Profit Acceleration Simulator. This is just a little scratch of the surface of what I do with my clients when we go in a deep dive with my Profit Acceleration software. This is just a simulator I'm going to show you. Okay, so the way this works is I'm going to put in a revenue figure, a gross profit figure, and then a net profit margin. And then I'm going to show you some strategies that we can tweak just a little, and you'll see how it has a bottom line impact. It's really pretty impressive. Did you know that $250,000 is the average revenue of a small business in the United States? $250,000. That's it. Yep.
Surprise me.
Yep. See if I can get those to work. So 50% there.
This is on your site.
Yep,
What do you say?
Mhm. It's a cool tool, isn't
it really is. I'm just trying to get it to work. So for those that don't, oh yeah, let's go with pounds.
it? That makes so much sense to us all.
I'm using a Mac, which I don't use. So how do I scroll down?
It's like an alien.
Yeah, it really is.
You get used to one or the other.
I haven't heard on Mac.
Oh,
Two
okay.
fingers.
All right, cool. 2 fingers. All right, well, this is going to be interesting. So
Adapting on the fly is a very good character.
it's absolutely awesome.
Great.
So I already
Use the 3 fingers.
these out.
That's right.
That's fantastic. So what I'm going to do, what happens is when I work with clients, we have 12 strategies that we do a real deep dive in, but we could go as deep as 40. But generally speaking, we start with 12. And what I want to show you here is if you just focus on a couple of these and making small improvements, what a dramatic impact it'll have to your profits. So we'll say, how about we go really conservative? And we're just going to cut costs 3%.
Mm.
And so there's your bump right there in your gross profit. Maybe we'll increase prices, only 5, so you guys don't throw me out of the room. 50, no, we'll go 10. Yeah, we'll go 10. Maybe we'll work on bundling, right? So put one of those bundling packages together I was talking about. Maybe that'll have a 5% impact after we do all the work. Maybe a downsell. We'll do the same. We'll go with that. I'm having fun with the numbers here. Whatever, it doesn't matter, right? Or how about joint ventures like we talked about? Let's say we work on some joint ventures and it winds up having a 10% impact or whatever I get this thing to move to. Should I hit delete? Hey,
There
we'll
we
go
go.
5. So the idea here, right, is that it has had, just by making those couple of improvements. So the idea, I went through this a little quick, but we would focus on like cutting costs, put some effort on that, maybe reducing them 3%. Working on increasing your prices, 10%. And then we go through it and it has this kind of a compounding effect. So just working on those, what is it, half dozen or 5 strategies out of the 12 and just making small conservative improvements in those areas, we've impacted our profit over 200%. Just small little improvements and they compound and work off of each other. So the more that you improve on one, it helps the other because your profits continue to compound on themselves. It's simple math, but it's a beautiful thing. And what we'll do is we'll work on a whole bunch of those strategies instead of just a couple over the course of time. So in summary, again,
That's live on the website.
what's that?
That's
I'll show you.
calculators.
That's wicked cool, like from a technical standpoint.
Yeah.
And you know what it actually does is it took a lot of,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. So again, in summary, focus on profits, not revenue, right? And then some of the strategies that we went over were pricing strategies, the focus from the 80-20 idea, some new approaches on how you could drive more profits without spending more money, focusing on your P&L. It's so crazy important to focus on that simple little report every month and making sure it's accurate, by the way. And then the idea of exponential growth. So what I was going to raffle away to people was to do what I call as a profit acceleration deep dive, where I spend up to 90 minutes with someone and we go through a number of strategies of those 12 and figure out where we can find the various profits. And what I want to do is offer that up to you folks for whoever's interested in doing it. So I'm going to flip it around a little bit. I was going to raffle it off and whatnot, but instead I'd rather just offer that up to everybody that came to book that time with me. So I'll put it on the screen too. But the idea here is you can either grab the QR code or the Calendly or whatnot, or just reach out to me, right? My email's down below and I'd be happy to schedule that. So what I do is I schedule an hour. And in order to do so, what we do is I have you send me a couple of pieces of information so that we can actually customize it for you, for your business, not just any business. The pieces of information I need is what was your revenue last year? If you know your gross profit percentage, that would be great, and your net profit percentage. If I have those three pieces of information, then what I can do is ahead of time kind of figure out what areas might be a really good hit for you. And then we sit together for an hour, and just an hour to an hour and a half, and tear through it and come up with some ideas and some strategies to drive more profits in your pocketbook, really, which is what I'm trying to do for my clients. This, by the way, it was showing 159% profit increase. That was on one that I had pre-done, but then since the mouse decided to kick my ass, I didn't have the numbers right. So I think we were up over 200%, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's about it. Yeah, that's it. Any questions? That's what I'm here for.
I like
You
it.
got-
David?
Yes, sir.
When you go through the numbers on paper, on screen, you go through the calculations, obviously that all makes sense mathematically. And then there's where the rubber meets the road, making those changes in a sustainable manner, having the business owner focus on those and pull them away from all those other priorities that they think they have to get to.
Yep.
How do you
The
have
sand
a way of
and
just
the pebbles.
keeping the gas on the pedal, on the foot on the gas pedal?
Yeah, it's a great question. So actually, I get that a lot from folks where they say to me, David, I'm already so crazy busy. Right. And I remember saying that in my previous business, I had hired a coach for like 3 months because I was trying to hit a certain goal before we sold the business. And my wife and I both said that to this guy, like, we're already working a ton. We're already busy as hell. How are we going to do this? And he's like, well, you want to get to a certain point, don't you? I said, yeah. He said, well, then you need to change where you're focusing your time. Focus it on the rocks. Excuse me. And it's really a mindset shift, right? Because, throughout the day, there's all this stuff that comes up that just sucks the life right out of you. And it's things that, you don't feel like working on the stuff that, you really should, right? And I do it too. We all do. But if you want to get to that point, if you truly want to get to those goals, then you need to change where you're focusing your time. So with my folks, whether it's in a group coaching or it's a one-on-one, I wind up being the accountability partner for them. And then we get on a regular basis. And, the idea too is that it's just small improvements made every week or whatever time frame you're working on. It doesn't have to be these big, gargantuan, massive projects to make, just like I showed here. I mean, a lot of these, you guys could leave today and do them by tomorrow.
Price increase is pretty
Price increase, for sure. So, yeah.
We have an online question from Dennis. How much time did it take to build your profit acceleration simulator? That's a tongue twister.
That's an interesting question.
People want it. People want that.
Everybody wants
It's
it.
a secret sauce. Sorry, I have to sign an NDA.
Don't we have a call in like 2 weeks, my friend?
You do already
simple
have
math, isn't
one
it?
book.
It is, but
One already booked on this.
Good deal.
You just have to decide what your matrix is and what interactions you want to have.
Everything's simple
Do it
until you
exactly.
do it.
It
And
is.
so to actually get a check mark done.
Oh, to build it on
No,
yeah,
it's
a
easy.
custom thing like that.
Yeah.
is-
So was the question, what was the cost or what was the time?
Time.
The time? I actually licensed this software. Yeah. I didn't build this myself. So I don't know the answer to that.
But it's live.
Huh?
in the marketing.
It's live.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's helpful. It's useful.
Yep. Well, that's what it was, is I was, to be totally upfront, is I was looking to start coaching small businesses, and I started building my own website and building my own course and getting into it. And I'm like, oh my God, this is taking me forever. So I managed to, it was actually through SEN.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, who I met somebody who introduced me to this software, and I'm like, oh my God, this is fantastic. Because what comes out of this is an entire roadmap. It's not just what you see here. You get an entire step-by-step. This is what we talked about. This is what you're going to do. Here you go. If you want to go off and do it on your own, have at it. Call me once in a while if you want, or I can help you do it. So that's kind of how that works.
I'm definitely interested in partnerships like that. And then
Oh,
I
yeah.
have like financial websites, I have legal websites. I wanted to talk to you, but like, I think that's what's missing. That's why I came here physically.
Yep.
And then there's accountability too, but I don't, it takes a lot to make a course and have that whole framework. So.
Yeah, I was looking at them all. And I am looking for other folks if they're interested in becoming a coach like me too, building that business as well. So. Yep.
Amanda has a question here as well. She said, it seems like there are many opportunities to increase your profits. What would you recommend is the easiest or quickest way to do that?
What a great question. Anybody get an idea? The answer is that.
Start.
Start. That's a great one.
Raise your
Quite
prices.
honestly, raise your prices. Hands down, raising your prices is the quickest thing you can do. You literally can do that by the time you get back to your office.
Takes the least
You
effort.
know,
Mhm.
what's that?
Takes the least effort. Everything
Least
else you
effort.
do.
I've got like
Yeah,
4 or
absolutely.
5 clients that have been with me 8, 10 years, and then it's just like the profit is there. It's like,
Yep.
it's good revenue, and it's like I just haven't touched it. It's it's like, how do I'm gonna add its time. It's like, I think they'll understand.
Well, that's just the thing, right? A lot of times they're waiting,
Inflation, yeah.
right? And they're like, oh my God, he hasn't raised prices yet. I'm so excited. You know?
You're keeping their cost of goods sold low.
There you go. Absolutely. Yeah.
What if your profits are going down because of shipping costs?
Mm,
So why are they dramatically reduced?
mhm.
Shipping
Shipping
costs.
costs.
Put an itemization on. so
Yeah,
people
trust
know
me, I've
that's
tried to
where-
do that, and people just then go with someone else.
Are you shipping like UPS or are you shipping through?
We sell big business equipment. So UPS, we don't work with UPS, we don't work with FedEx, they destroy.
So you have to
Sounds like-
work, prices are going down.
Freight carriers,
Not
then
freight
LTL and that type of thing.
Not really.
Yeah, I
So
know a freight carrier, it's
Yeah.
gonna be my client.
Trust me, I've been working in the industry for 30 years, or 40 years, actually.
Yeah.
So it used to cost 125 to send a bike cross country. Now it's 300.
$300 to send a bike across the country.
Treadmill, 600. I got quoted out for a strength piece and I lost the deal on it because of the shipping costs.
Was it to a local client
Yep.
vendor? Yeah.
So I think, I hear you, right? I used to be in the logistics industry, so I used to feel that all the time, and whether or not to pass it along to the clients, because there's a point where the clients tell you to,
Yeah.
go to hell or whatever. But that's where the idea of adding more value to what you're bringing to the marketplace comes into play, right? And getting really creative. And there can be times where you just can't because of the industry you're in.
And I do try.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so this client I just met in Concord, I honestly want to try to help them get healthy and fit. It was a big, it's a distributor, New Hampshire distributor. They actually distribute for Anheuser-Busch. New Hampshire, upper New Hampshire. And I'm offering stuff just for free, just to help them out, hoping that it translates down the road, but I don't really care if it does. I'm just trying to help them out.
Yeah.
Because they have some cool stuff, but they could have some better stuff, but I mean, it's a big place. I just love to do that kind of stuff. But again, what's been killing me over the last 3 years since COVID is shipping. It's destroying. So I can't increase because everyone looks on the internet. Cheapest price gets the deal.
So, okay, so the idea there then right, is that you need to find out how you can differentiate yourself from the internet.
Mhm.
What can you do different? And that's where the value add comes from, the bundling and all that.
Sure, I'd love to talk to you about
Deep
that.
I was gonna
dive.
say, grab
Yeah.
his code and make sure you book that session that he just offered, so.
Yeah, I mean, Jonathan, I'd be
sure.
happy to talk to you because you definitely need to
Because
take a hard look at that.
Because a lot of people, competitors, not only do they sell for less than they're supposed to in that price,
Mhm,
but then they offer free shipping.
mhm.
Because they're depending on bigger numbers.
Right.
So if they sell, they'll sell 20 to buy one.
Well, so what did we talk about? Like installation?
Yep.
Right? Being able to
But, okay.
do that quicker, better, friendlier, I don't know, maybe adding on additional services.
Well, yeah.
We talked about that too.
I'm trying to get
Yeah.
on, that's all.
What else we got?
Yeah, but there's-
That's good. I'd be happy to dive deep with you on that.
Nope, go, I don't have any currently, thank you.
Quick question, there's a lot of talk of a recession
Hmm.
coming. Do you have any tips for business owners to either prepare, maybe steps they can take to put themselves in a better position?
Yeah, that's a great question. So yeah, recessions in everybody's eyes, right? They're all thinking about it, worrying about it and whatnot. And I was talking about somebody recently about that. And a lot of small businesses, and even the big ones, will scale back to get ready for a recession.
Mm.
I don't think that's the right move. Personally, I like the idea of getting more aggressive, but they try to make more profits now so that you can ride out that storm. So, focus on cutting your costs where you can, like sharpening that pencil, like I talked about, really making sure that your costs are all lined up and you know where your money's going. Spending more time networking, right? So I think, what's his name? Tim Roberts from BNI had mentioned like several months ago when the recession word started popping up. He was telling us, he said, now is the time to start networking more and more and more to really get that business going and the flow and momentum going. So in other words, now's the time to work harder, not step back and hide in a corner because a recession is coming.
Broader base.
And I think
cover all
since the natural reaction is to cut back on marketing and advertising, a lot of businesses do that.
Yep.
They think it's sort of like discretionary spending.
Yeah, it's absolutely not.
And it's obvious, times are great. Well, let's do some marketing. But
You need a
I hear
plan.
it over and over again by people like you and others, and marketers, of course, that in a recession, rise above the crowd because it's quiet out there. You're going to be heard
Exactly.
and remembered. And
Right.
then when it comes back, you're going to have the clientele
Yeah,
and the
cheaper.
momentum.
You're cheap, like you buy, if nobody's buying, you're buying the ad inventory cheaper.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
There's a
And
lot of
those are
opportunity
better.
in a
Yeah.
recession, right?
Mhm.
You just gotta put a plan together, really think about it, sit down and instead of just kind of
'Cause
going with the
people are
flow.
Still spending. Everybody
Of course
still
they are.
needs this stuff.
They
Yeah.
have to.
Right,
If there's
exactly.
5% contraction, that's 95% of the market is roaring, it's still going. So
It's still there. It's not like it all disappeared.
They just want to get you to sell your.
everybody,
401k. Dump it.
Amanda makes a good point, and this is a great way to wrap up that portion is people spend more when they're stressed, actually, and that is scientifically proven. So that's a really good.
More
point,
ice cream.
Amanda. Yeah, more. Sell them. Come on, people. Who needs an extra
Well, money is
scoop?
the problem.
I need an extra
Sam? Can you wrap us up?
Yeah,
Absolutely. Well, thank you everybody so much for joining us today. David, fantastic presentation. If anybody is looking to get in contact with him, you can reach him via his QR code, or I did put his URL in the chat box. It's yourbusinessmadeeasy.com. The other thing too is we do offer Snacks with an Expert on a monthly basis. And if you are looking to come to our next one, we've got 2 coming up in May, and we are always sharing our upcoming events on our website at sparkoffices.com, as well as on our Facebook and our Eventbrite. We'd love for everyone to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. And then in a week or so, this wrap-up video will actually be posted to our YouTube channel as well. So a lot of different ways to connect with Spark Offices beyond popping in. We'd love to connect with everybody. And other than that, thank you all so much for coming. And thank you again, David.